we're not going to give up. We're not going to go away. We're going to find out our facts and our information no matter which way that goes. And only then will you be able to move forward into a sustainable future for yourself and be armed with information to protect yourself and your health. And we are here to help you through that investigation. I know you know how to find me, and anybody can email me at any time, but it's going to be about starting to gather information, and what will make a difference is you. How involved you will be, how proactive you will be about following through, having stick-to-itiveness, working with your community, going to your local members, and standing up and saying, hell no, we're just not going to take this anymore. And it is happening everywhere. So as frustrated as I get, there is still hope. There is absolutely something changing in society right now, right today. And it is us moving back to things that matter the most, that sustains every single one of us. And that is our water, our air, and our health. And we've got to get back to getting to the business of taking care of just that and no more lies. So your involvement will turn the dial. I've always been a people person. People move the dial. You know, I have a cartoon I should have brought with me. I love it. And with my back like this, I can barely put my hands out. But think of this as a teeter-totter. And right down the middle here, this side is land, and this is a cliff. And if you fall, you're gone. Here's a teeter-totter. I've got 3 or 4 politicians out here, boys standing strong. But over here, I have 500 people. Now think about that for a minute, because if these people shift, boop, there they go. You guys move the dial. And I am an advocate, and I am here as my mom was to be a cheerleader out for me. I am going to be one here for you. You have what it takes to make a difference right here in your own state and get your agencies and hold them accountable to you, knowing the information they're providing you is factual, so you can move forward and have a safe future. That is their job, and you're going to make them do their job. And I'm counting on you for that. I do a lot of consulting with Robin Greenwald and her firm, Whites in Luxembourg, and she is here.
But for a minute, let me just mention precision cast parts, because the focus early on was the glass companies, because that's what hit the news. So frequently news drives people coming someplace. I would say, I don't know, maybe Erin would agree or disagree with this, but probably every time we've gone to a community, we learn about at least one other pollution source that no one had on their radar screen, but someone comes forward and said, did you know about this too? Because this has been going on for a long time also. Or we learned about more than one. So this time we learned about 3. We're only going to talk about 2 right now. So there's the glass companies, and then there's the precision cast parts. And as far as we understand, that's a pretty highly polluting facility as well. We read about it before today. We didn't just learn about it today, by the way. But we certainly today talked to people who were interested in learning more about that. And if you are one of those people who live near that facility and you have concerns about that, you should feel free to call us as well, because we are going to be looking at that in addition to the obvious glass companies. So anyway, we really want to open up to question and answers, and then we look forward to hearing from you all.
Can you make a comment of what it looks like to have arsenic in your system, and over time what the health trajectory is? Thank you.
You want to answer first?
I was wondering how many people in the room have had their blood tested. I'm interested to know. Urine? Okay, so urine. How about blood first? And how about urine? Okay. Is the public health department actually offering blood testing or urine testing of people? Just urine. Okay. I'm sorry, 5 miles from Bullseye? 1/2 mile from Bullseye. So it's interesting. Is the doctor still in the room who was up earlier? Is urine testing as good as blood for these metals? Because doesn't my understanding, and it's always dangerous for lawyers to go into the world of medicine. Yeah, really dangerous, but aren't blood tests much more accurate as to how metal has impacted your system?
Depends on the metal.
Okay, how about arsenic and cadmium?
Urine.
Urine's better.
So I'm doing blood and urine on my patients, and I am seeing it in blood samples and in urine samples. But with cadmium, body burden, you're going to see in the urine because it's in the kidneys,
right?
And it's coming out in the kidneys, and you're going to see, the half-lives of all these different chemicals are different, and they really don't last very long in the blood. They're moving out into different forms,
and they'll last in the urine longer.
They last in the urine longer.
That's
it's getting filtered
fascinating.
and it's coming out in the urine.
So most of the chemicals I've worked on have been the opposite.
No. Not very good. It's very, the metals get distributed unevenly, and they don't get distributed evenly in the hair. So you can look at hair testing for one metal, and I can't remember what that is, but not all of them. They really don't distribute well that way.
Through the Multnomah County, a petition for judicial review, because I can do that. I went to the law library, I studied, I got a good law librarian, and she got me the forms, and I filed it the day before it was due, and I got the right on there, and so it's official. I'm Dale Feek, representing the public, versus Director of DEQ, Dick Peterson, defendant. I'm the plaintiff. But I don't know how it all works. I just filed it. And
so, good for you.
Wow. And I've checked at the Multnomah County, and I can do it for the Washington County.
So did you serve the defendant?
Well, I just filed it. The deal was.
I'll help you.
I mean,
you got a lot of work to do.
I know, but I don't have any attorneys, and I can't find one to do it. And so what I ended up doing, I was advised by one attorney. I asked his advice, and he said, "Get a case number." I got a case number.
All right.
So it's an official filing, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, you do. You filed a lawsuit, and you have a case number.
Thank you for what you do. That is, you are living proof of, when we step up, oftentimes we think we can't do something because we're told we can't do something, and here he is, he stepped out there and did it. And just imagine if every one of us do that, and we will, the difference we make. So like Robin said, kudos to you, congratulations, and thank you for being proactive and stepping forward.
Right. Every time someone tries to get a permit, there's a public comment period, and you can always submit comments. And absolutely, they're supposed to answer your comments. I mean, they don't answer them by writing to you directly, but they have to put in an administrative record responses to comments. So it's a little easier than a lawsuit. So is your lawsuit an air? Is your lawsuit an air challenging an air permit or a water permit?
Air.
Air permit.
Only.
Okay.
I want to know, where do I go get tested? I don't know what is in my system that's causing this bladder cancer repeatedly. Where do I go get tested? I asked my doctor. They know nothing.
I would like to say that if you join the Eastside Portland Air Coalition Facebook page, that's our next project after this event, is to find information that we can all submit urine tests to the same place, to a lab that will detect down to a level that our doctors are comfortable with. So please stay tuned to that information on how to get tested with somebody we trust.
You know what? We're not very comfortable coming out and talking about our illnesses and our diseases. And I remember so many communities where, we don't talk to our neighbor. Gosh, did you have a lot of diarrhea last night? Or have you had blood in your urine? We don't want to have that conversation. And how many of you in this room are having health problems? There's a lot of hands. And there's something, there's security in numbers because we're not alone. When we began in Hinckley, it started with one that went to 5 to 50 to 150 to 350 to 550. All of a sudden, a defendant started having to pay attention. But most importantly, every single one of those people knew that somebody else in that room was their neighbor, had their back, understood what they were going through, experienced it, and they became a family, and they were bonded, and they stood strong, united. And the outcome was so valuable to them. It was not about a dollar figure they won. It was about that they stood up, they spoke out, they saw justice in the form of awareness, and now people were armed with information, and that would make a difference in diagnosing a cancer early, that would make a difference in their life, and that's what counts.
There was a discussion the other day among some of us about the fact that we don't feel like we're getting accurate or comprehensive information about what kinds of health risks exist among the people who live and go to school and work around these glass companies. And I'm wondering, I know a lot of the parents at the daycare don't feel comfortable necessarily sharing their information publicly, like on Facebook. They're apprehensive to share that kind of information. How can we gather that? Is it going door to door like you and Lois Gibbs? Where? How can we get that?
You can ask people to anonymously tell you what if they're focusing on children, what their children are experiencing, and you can just ask them to give coordinates. So people aren't going to want to give their address because then you might as well just give the name. But you can ask them, you can put it in zones. So some people may not even be willing to say the corner of Smith and Jones Street, but you could take a map literally and put it into zones, maybe 6, 7 zones, and ask someone to identify which zone, and do it based on proximity to the plant, and then ask them where they live, and then ask them, put a form together and ask them to check what kind of conditions or illnesses or symptoms their children are having. And a lot of people will do that because, I mean, if you're going to rely on people here, no one's going to make it up here. So, because everyone wants the same information, and then you could say that you'll compile that. Maybe Jennifer's group can put it on the website or something. I don't want to speak for her, but you can compile that and start to get that information out there, and that allows people to keep their privacy. But it also allows you to get the information. I mean, it worked in this one town in Long Island really well. People kept coming and coming, and particularly once they posted the data, more people came forward. Because they're like, wait a minute, I should have given that information. Because they realized their children had the same, or there it was adults too. But they realized, wow, I should have participated in that, because those numbers, people got upset because they were artificially low. And so they wanted to come forward. It became quite viral. It was very successful.
I've been working on a mapping project. It's called communityhealthbook.com. I currently have over 16,000 communities reporting to me, and we're giving them the power of uploading their information. It doesn't have to be their name, so we can cross-reference and take a look at, because what makes a difference here in these clusters is the numbers, and we're missing numbers because, see, people don't know where to report to. And so as we create this, people can report something. It would always be confidential with me. Anybody could report anything to me, Erin at Brockovich.com. I would never make a decision about any of your information until I consult with you, but it could be very, very useful, not only to you, but the entire community.
My question relates to financial transparency on how you folks work. That is, a collection has been taken. How is that money used? We have an attorney from Seattle and an attorney from, I'm not sure where the other group is from. Do you work on a contingency basis? And how does the money that is collected used versus your fees? Because I understand that it's costly to do this kind of a study. Could you divulge to us how the financial arrangements work?
So the money that was collected tonight has nothing to do with the lawsuit. That's Jennifer and her group is a nonprofit. They try to do things to help the community. For example, bringing physicians together, having this, just renting the facility. It's those kind of things that she does. So she works on this, I think, almost full time. I mean, I've reached her morning, afternoon, night. And this has nothing to do with us, nothing, zero. Jennifer and I have been talking. I told her that I would be happy to come and join her event. Erin offered to come join her event. So that's money that she collects for her group. And if she were here, she really should be the person mentioning this, but I think she's outside. Now let's talk about us. So we're completely separate from her group. She's reached out to us, and I've talked to her. In lawsuits, we operate on a contingency fee, so we foot all the bills up front. We don't ask any money in advance. And then at the end of the day, if we succeed and if we recover, we take a fee off of that. So, and there's no financial relationship whatsoever between the group that put this event together today and our law firm at all. We work with Erin. We work with Beth. And Beth and I are together. Having two firms versus one is irrelevant for fees. We work together. So it's the same contract, same agreement. Does that answer your question? Or
It is very helpful for me to understand. And
I'm glad you asked it.
One final question, and you may say it's none of my business, and please say so.
That's okay.
Is it the traditional 1/3 of the recovery that you take?
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So what is your opinion, Erin Brockovich, about city fluoridated water? That's actually a huge thing right now, and it's like kind of scary for a lot of people I know. And 3 mayoral candidates running for mayor right now are pro fluoridated water. And so what is your thing, and what is your history around that issue?
No fluoridation. It's absolutely not necessary. It's become, interestingly enough, the CDC reduced the fluoridation in water by almost half. They realized, oh, oops, this is a problem. And so federally, they've reduced that number state by state. Many states are requiring no fluoridation. I got to tell you, there is no need for fluoridation in our water. Our water supplies are not for medicinal purposes at all. If I'm going to be medicated, I'm going to tell you what I want to be medicated with, and I don't want to find it in my water. It is in the abyss. I'm looking for it too. No, it's a real problem. You know, that's why we're starting our own national reporting database. And that's something that you can do. First of all, it does take time. People come around very slowly. In every situation I've had, you know, I think of it as like, you know how babies are? Even with my own grandchildren, you know, if you just like storm them, they're like, whoa. And if you just sit with information and knowledge, they will come. So I don't know how long you've been doing this, but it's something that I have found very, very helpful when I deal with communities, is getting and garnering all your information and facts and being able to approach them. And if at first it's not okay, come back again. But give people time. And open up with others in your area or whose emails you have, or acupuncturists, and encourage people to report to you. It's very funny, though. They're very funny about it. They're very personal. They're not afraid if it's going to get out. They can always report something. As we build this out, and I've now hired a big software company, we're going to create this national database because, see, it's all about trust, right? People aren't reporting stuff to CDC or the FDA or the EPA because they don't trust them. And we want to build a place where people come and they own their information, they own their story, they own their data, where they can trust. So we can look at the overall picture. We're in the process of doing that. Build a trusting relationship with your community. Be willing to start off slowly and be armed with your information. This community is starting to shift. Would everybody in here agree with me? Do you all see that moment's happening? So don't back away and just be a little more creative. Network strong, give them a place to come to, but you got to build, and with time, some trust. And it will happen.
How do you fight City Hall? I mean, we've already written letters to our commissioners and letters to our council members. And how do you fight those entities?
When you get united and you have a situation with a huge Superfund and you start showing up with 300, 400, 500, you're going to get their ear. It takes numbers of people. It does. I mean, this is how we've successfully done it every single time. In a city council situation or within a city, how you fight them is with numbers, and come armed with your information, and don't give up, because they're going to bank on the fact that you will. It took us 21 years to fight for and pass legislation for hexavalent chromium to be recognized as carcinogenic and set an MCL for it in the state of California. 21 years. We have a lot of failures. So does this state, so do all states. And it's really important. When you get involved in his, you got to be in it for the long haul. For the long haul. You know, somebody asked me the most profound question the other day. What's going to be your legacy, Erin? And that's the question I'm going to ask every one of you when we go home tonight. What's your legacy going to be? We know these issues exist, and it will be a long haul for us. And so it's about getting back to policy, getting up on the Hill, going door to door. These are things that people have forgotten you can, in fact, do. Start, again, with some policy and legislation. When's the last time, we talk about these issues that bother you, that somebody has gotten, who is your local representative? There was quite a few of them here tonight. I think that's a good place to start, to carry legislation that's going to change some of the rules and regulations that we have on the books. It's a daunting task, but it can be done. That's where so much begins, is actually with these policies. And being able to come back in and show statistics and information as to why it's not working. And that's really my job. I do that all day, every day. And putting that together. I'm happy to help you. Again, like I said, you can email me. I'm happy to help you on those social types of movements that you can make to get something done. Arm yourself with information. That's exactly what I did. So when I went out and I talked to people, I could say, see here, we're visual. We can hear a lot, but when we can touch it and we can see it and we can make a determination for ourselves, wow. Those are some youthful tips. Again, be patient, get some facts, information. Again, don't hesitate to email me. You know what? That's what I did when I did Hinckley. I had an archive box and a file folder and a name of every single person that I met, and then a file for every member of the family that I met, and I sat down with them. And they were my family. They were my friend. And I wanted to know what was happening, and I built upon it. I used to just toddle back to my office every day in my little BB skirt and my high heels with my little archive box full of information. And it was a really good process. It helped me develop a deep connection with those people and a day in and day out relationship. And I got to know them. So just get your information together and don't give up. We get involved in these things. Don't think you're going to have an answer tomorrow.
Our Oregon Health Association is led by a woman named Lynn Saxton. I don't know who knows that. So her husband is a member of Associated Oregon Industries. When we talk about legislation against these pollution controls, these bad legislators, that's who she's married to. Well, my question is to me that seems like a huge conflict of interest. Have you any experience in getting people like that removed from office?
Well, yeah, you can. And, they don't like the court of public pressure. Ultimately, they get themselves removed and they hang themselves. But, I
don't want her to get hanged. I just don't want her
No,
there.
but you can point out where there are conflicts and get a group to go along with you. It's a we do that on Facebook. We do that to create awareness and provide information. You can do what you want with it. We're not here to tell them what they can do, but here's the circumstances, here's a fact, and let them decide for themselves. And you know what? Oftentimes we'll jump back on Facebook and we're like, oh my God, 500,000 people just got involved. So if there's something that you feel is a conflict, you can put it out there that way. Throw it back to the people and let the people take a look at it. There was a nice turnout here tonight. Show up. And honestly, it makes a difference. They will sit there. They'll sit there and tell us, nobody in the community is upset with us. And why wouldn't they think that if nobody from the community is showing up? So whatever is happening on the 6th, organize and get a couple of hundred people there. That is definitely a way to get their ear. And I have a very big Facebook page, and I'm happy when situations like this come out that I can post for you too, publicly, to help, because if others in the area are checking in, to kind of put together a large, organized, united group. That is clearly very effective.
What suggestions do you have to continue this momentum? So after the media leaves, after the climax of this energy is gone, what suggestions do you have that we don't forget about this 6 months from now, a year from now?
Continue to talk with each other, and that's an excellent question because we've seen it happen in everything. Robin will tell you that. The media can come in during a sensational moment, report and go away, and then the community is still left holding the bag. During the process, we come back in and we continue to keep meetings going like this. You'll find some media still hanging around as things develop and staying in communication with each other. But these things can ebb and flow, and they'll get a lot of attention, and then it gets quiet. Just keep running in the background, okay? And we'll be back to.
I'm leery of who to trust with a urine sample. Do I get tested now, or do I wait until I hear?
I would definitely, if there's tests being done locally, I would take advantage of it. I would not wait. I would not, I'm not sure, if someone told you that in my office, I'll have to talk to them. I always tell people that unless you know that there's nefarious activity going on, take advantage of the tests that are available to you. Find out now. I mean, if you can find out something today, presumably they're going to send the information to a reliable lab. Take advantage of it now. Don't wait. And that information is super helpful as well for us to have.
I want to know how this Whites and Luxembourg are going to deal with a diversity of voices that are here present in Portland, Oregon.
We deal with diversity like that every single day, whether it's translation, people that speak Hispanic, whether it's a newsletter, whether every bit of information they receive is in Spanish. And you know what? Is this in your neighborhood? Because you could be very helpful, and you could head that up and put a list together. We'll work with you closely on that, but we'll make certain your community's involved, they do understand, and we'll do what it takes to either speak to you or write to you in Hispanic.
Right. Our office is bilingual.
We can translate a newsletter and send it out via email to keep them apprised of what's happening.
Yes.
And you could be very helpful in doing that for us, too.
Thank you.
And submitting that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.